Again, sir, because the local opposition, right, now they are only serving as a depot place, okay, depot place, take it back, and you can see the mission there, okay. And if you want to see any detailed information, under the Google look for a Teku transfer station, and you will be reached there, okay. Yeah, I wish you could tell the bus to come that way, but can you tell the bus to come? Where's our? Where's our Deepak? Yeah. Let's tell the bus to come there. Several 395 tons per day, and every year it's getting larger and larger, right? Now, in the entire solid waste management budget cost, okay, number one limiting factor is cost, money, okay? Money is the most important factor at the cost, and for this also we need aid from Japanese government, German government, all kinds of government, America, and Kathmandu is very, very rich country. See, all the buildings are very, very tall and very, very rich, but the roads are very dirty, very poor. That's because all rich people, they don't want to pay taxes, right? They'll make the street dirty, they'll make it dirty. They'll have palatial houses, palatial rooms inside the house. The rooms are more luxurious than America, but here it's worse than Sudan, okay? And so Nepal and Kathmandu doesn't have a system of collecting enough taxes to produce. Now we are starting, but still not enough, so we need to get all kinds of aid, okay? Now in this aid picture, one of the biggest element in solid waste management is not just science and math and all that. It is cost, and we need to reduce cost. And in this cost also, because Kathmandu is so heavily in demand for people wanting to live there, all the roads and dirty, even dirty places, rivers, the people are making houses there, right? So because land is so expensive here, in order to find land to throw things out, they have to go outside Kathmandu, right? And the closest land you could find in the beginning was Gokarna area, okay? Gokarna area now. Up to Gokarna also is very touristic, and there are lots of touristic, the resort station, etc. So we'll be in Gokarna, we started a station, right? And even Gokarna is only about 5 or 10 kilometers away, right? And the current station called Sistol and Banjar Dada is around 27 kilometers. But 27 kilometers means going and coming 27, that's 54 kilometers. And that 27 kilometers usually starting from the edge of Kathmandu called Balkhiria, which I go to. They start distance. So you are talking about distance within the city also, right? And within the city, because there's so much traffic jam, the bus has to start, go, all trucks. And that consumes a lot of petrol.
What about your
main
backup?
purpose
Please
is to minimize the cost by
mine
minimizing
is limited
petrol, right?
to
Now,
giga.
since we can't find
like
land inside
8-9
Kathmandu
hours.
city to throw the stuff
8
there,
hours. You
they
can
said,
take the video later on
how
also.
can we reduce the amount?
I'm
Okay,
keeping
one of
the
the-
beginning one, then I
parts
will
is that
ask you to
lot
keep.
of the
Actually,
waste
you need to
material
take
has lot of
record.
recyclable things, plastics,
Make
and
a folder
sacks and bottles
or
and everything, right?
everything
And
details.
some of them will deteriorate also.
Sure about
the idea
backup,
was
no?
let
Yeah,
us
it's
bring to a
9
place
now.
within Kathmandu, as close to Kathmandu as we can get, and there let us give it to the always Chobar, scavengers, to take the metal and use it and sell it, okay, sell it for use. And by that way you can reduce the amount of material that will go into the major landslide. So the amount of load that is transported to larger site like Gokarna or Sistol area is reduced, so the amount of cost is reduced, okay. That is one purpose. The second purpose is that often this is after cost is a political problem about people. There's a cost called NIMBY, not in my backward. They don't want to see it a dirty Indian land. Okay, so even in the village, they don't want to see the dirty. So once in a while, they'll say, okay, unless you give us land, jobs, schools, etc., development, we're not going to do it. So every couple of years, even in 1 year, 2 or 3 times, there's all kinds of strikes and all kinds of closure, and people disallow the vehicles to come to the area for dumping for it. So in that case, we need some temporary, okay? And for a temporary also, this station called Teku area, which is well within the Kathmandu Ring Road Valley, was established, okay? And as I said, number one purpose was to reduce the recycle people. It was made available for it. And number two was to serve as a dumping area, right? But that was from a management point of view, right? But once they started doing stuff, once they started building up stuff, and this area belonged to the government, once they started to, even this area, see this building, or new call, and all those local people started to complain again and again. We don't want all that smoke. See, we're here up to that main road, we start smelling, right? We don't want that smoke and stuff, right? And after long or so, people didn't allow them to develop this area even further, and they don't want this to become a temporary area, just to transfer like bus station only. They started. Okay, so here Even here, the Japanese government has aided by building some of the physical structures of aiding stuff. So we'll just take a quick look around, maybe 5 minutes, and come back. Okay? Okay, let's go. Did I miss anything? Even proposal is difficult to remember. Right? Okay, because now plastic will not be reduced. Okay? The joint is called Teku, okay? And when up to time when my grandfather died, we have to come and start there and take water from there. But now impossible, right? It's supposed to be the cleanest place where all the dead souls are. Okay? The confluence of Vishnumati, which comes sort of north, a little bit north-south, and Bhamati, which comes all the way from Shivpuri area, Sundarzal area, which meets there. Okay, and what you see here is that this area, we have not, Balko has not started at this area, and you can see on the banks there, right? Now those banks are common property land, government land there, right? And in the common property land, whenever there was a problem there, when government or the Kathmandu metropolitan area could not take it out to landfill site, they started using those areas as dump sites, okay? And instead of dump site, when they try to do it somewhat scientifically, instead of just throw it, they try to put in layer form, put some soil. So there's some amount of science involved as supposed to, right? And as you can see, the history of this place was to start as a recycling center. So you can see a lot of this recycling quote-unquote workshop, right? They try to separate out plastic bags and plastic, etc. And there are actually estimates of several crore per day that is sent to India from recycling agents here, right? And they buy it at very, very cheap, and still many people are making a livelihood based on this recycling method. So there is some right, and here is plastic. They also recycle iron, etc., which costs a lot of, which have a lot of money, etc. Okay? So here we are in the Bishnupur River. It's very, very black, right? But don't be disheartened, okay? By the time you are 60 years old, okay? Just like in England and London, okay? Once upon a time in London, in the times of Charles Dickens, the river was worse than that, okay? Now it's very, very beautiful. So when you are rich and when everything money, Kathmandu has a lot of money, you start getting cleaned up. Now you can already see that in my 20, 30 years, the government started putting more and quite powerful river in the summer season. But since this is fed only by the mountains nearby, in winter season and dry season is very low, okay? But once upon a time, okay, our mythology says that when Kathmandu was more or less a lake, almost was a lake, okay? And those times, the people who lived there were the sort of ethnic people of right-wing type, okay? And they were called, and one of them was called Yalambar, okay? And Yalambar's sister used to come here and bathe naked in that place, right? And one of the other Indras came here. She saw him naked, right? And he tried to attack, and Yalan got so bad, he went to come to fight, and Indra cut off his head, right? And the head is in Indra Chobar, so Yalan head, okay? So this story about this place used to be very pure, very beautiful area, but now it is disturbed. Okay, so in the period. Now, Balko area, this road you see here is the ring road, okay? So whenever we talk about Kathmandu city, often we talk about the city within the limits of the ring road area. So when you try to measure distances, which usually this is 0 distance, 0 kilometers, and from here we talk about this, okay? So usually this is from this place to the inner part of the city is not usually taken, but for transportation purpose and for waste management purpose, even the distance from here to here costs a lot of money in terms of petrol expense and diesel expense, okay? Now from here on also, again, both sides are common land, okay? And there used to be a lot of tribal university land or university land, and what happened was that as city got more and more, some people some people tried to use the common land into government property area, and there was an NGO, which is a legal NGO called Pro Public, okay? I've given you once a Pro Public. They made several cases, and one of the cases was that they argued that this public land should be for purposes and not for private purposes, and they put the government to court. Okay, the main sort of the accused party was government prime minister, and they actually won the case, and they had a bulk park somewhere in the backside. Okay, now from here on you will go to the main Bagmati river on the other side, and we'll start going there. So we'll take a break a little bit here. Deepak, where is Deepak? Is this where we are going to eat someplace, or will go?
No good places.
Okay, then let's go to other place. Okay, so this is Parko area. Okay, let's go. Low buildings, those are the school called laboratory school. Okay, now it used to be a private, semi-private school of the government. Now it is run by Little Angel School, right? A pretty good school there. So this used to be sort of university and academic compound. Okay, and this place called Sundari Ghat by name means it's beautiful bank. Okay, but now it's not a beautiful bank anymore. Okay, you started as Sundari Jal, where water theoretically is pure, and even currently it is at least drinkable quality. It's not 100% pure, but it's of drinkable quality. That's where we get our water from. Now the same water, after getting all the drainage material of all this people of Kathmandu, including all the small rivers like Bishamati is one of the small tributaries, but other rivers are like Hanumante, Manohara, all kinds of rivers. They all bring us stuff there. So by the time this water reaches here, people have taken measurements, right? It is about 20 times the safe limit for drinking. Okay, so it's very, very poisonous water. Okay, it's poisonous for us, poisonous for animals, etc. Right? But when I was in college at a bachelor's level, okay, the place where we kept our bus, there is a small gateway. I used to come there in my bachelor's 4th semester, okay, to do my project on ecology. I was in environment, in biology, zoology department, right? And under ecology part, I took up a subject called avifaunal ecology of Sundari Ghat, this area. Okay, I'll show you the publication later in class. And in this area, I came about 3 times a week in my bicycle. I used to come in a bicycle there. I used to park my bicycle inside gatekeeper's house, and I used to walk from that river from the Sundari, where you see these trees. All of the trees were not there. Okay, those trees were planted. These are less than 30 years to 25 years plant. Okay, and some of them, like this tree right in front of you, that's called a poplar tree, or Lahore people we call it, Populus deltoides. And the tree next to that is called eucalyptus tree, Eucalyptus camaldulensis. The tree next to that with a little bit white on the bottom is called a silver oak, Grevillea robusta, right? So those are all most of the exotic trees which are planted. So this is also evidence that human beings or common people or the human society is trying to reduce the impacts somehow. Okay, but while this is a sort of an ameliorative type of effect, in the meantime, because of the pressures of population, because of the waste metal that was generated, and because we had several times problems in trying to send it to landfill areas, we needed a temporary landfill area. So this land, which belonged to the government, okay, was used whenever there was closed. This land called Sundari Ghat was used as a temporary dumping area. Okay, and this dumping area you can see from here, for instance. Layers. Okay, this should be layers there. Now, when I was in college, that was around 1970, right? All of this area used to be water, okay, small water, and I had to walk along this area in water, and it was perfectly okay to walk, right? And I had to watch the birds, which used to be in the river area, okay? And in 1 year time, in every 3 days, I recorded 250 species of bird, okay? 250. Some of them are common, like crows and parrots, but some of them are fairly rare. In fact,
forest also?
Huh?
Here was forest also, yeah?
No forest. I was just looking at Bank River. Okay. In fact, if you see the bridge right in front of us there, right, right behind the bridge on the left side, we'll be stopping opposite this small hill called Chobar area, right. On the left side, there they had just started the beginnings of a open air sewage treatment. Okay, so when you went to Goesuri area, okay, in Goesuri sewage plant, you see this a lot of water with polluted water, and in order to increase the cleaning by bacteria. You use huge amount of mechanical energy to create bubbles, right? To create increase water surface so the oxygen could be, right? Now that costs a lot in terms of energy, okay, electricity bill. Now in that area, instead of using energy, they are trying to do passive it by having huge area, open space, and they have to put a sewage in that stuff, and sewage will interact with the atmosphere air, and it'll generate a stuff to create a stuff. They did that for several years, and then it became feel like it was stopped there, and I'll show you the area, right? But while I was doing this, they were just cleaning up the area, putting the making it a plain area, putting some packing there, and there I managed to see a bird which had not been reported in Nepal for 150 years. It was called Eurasian thickney, okay? And at that time, I could only describe the birds, etc. And I was working under an eminent ornithologist of Nepal called Dr. Robert Fleming, okay? They wrote a book of Birds of Nepal, and while in college and bachelor's, I used to, from Vassar Foster, I used to go to bird watching trip with them, right? And at that time, I didn't have a binocular, etc. And while going from one bus stop to the river, they'll say, okay, that's a bush, that's a bush, right? 20 birds, they'll say just by the name of birds. Wow, if they are in the store that all old rishis, they could identify, talk with animals, right? They could identify, right? But now later on, I also could identify 5 or 6 bird species just by the sound, okay? But at the time, I didn't know, right? So I gave them a description of these are all animals, and they looked up the distance and said, oh, this is this bird, and this is called Eurasian thickney, and it had not been reported in Kathmandu Valley for 150 years. And because of that, in the second edition, I also got a mention, like say, okay, thanks to Amulaya, okay, we found a new bird species. I'll show that later in class, okay? Anyway, so this area is Sundargarh. You can see that there are layers and layers, and now you can see very little birds, very little animal life, okay? And it's not good for fish life, and once in a while people come here in the morning time to practice archery here, okay? And this bridge here, okay, this bridge, you can see the color. What is the color of the bridge, Shangdan? Black. Black in Newar is called Haku. Haku means black, and bridge means ta, and Haku ta, okay? So that bridge has special meaning in my life, because in that bridge, I had my first girlfriend there, right? And in 6 months' time, she broke up with me, and another villain in my class came, right? And he started loving with her, and he used to take her out in the breeze, take her out in like this way. And you wrote a novel, right? You wrote a novel saying, oh, I took her in the breeze on this breeze. I was so sad. And later I found a novel. I almost committed suicide, right? That's the exact breeze, okay? So when I come here, every rock, every breeze is telling me a story. Okay? So that is why I said, let's go to breeze, okay? Now let's go to breeze this way a little bit, and the boss will catch there, This is a kind of if I not have many political and bureaucratic hassles to use the land for dumping here, because this belongs to the Ampel Khane Pani Ban, so water and sewage board land, okay? So let us go to the bridge here, okay? All of this used to be sand, okay?
You don't have to say everything about them.
I will call it cover here, also call it one batch, right? One batch here. And now, there's also the area to increase biological degradation activity, so there's less. So in some places you can feel, because the original volume has been decreased as a result of biological activity, so it is getting lower and lower, okay? Now, it doesn't seem like there is a way there, otherwise I should take it in. So let's go by the road and go to the place, okay? Huh? No. Sistol बीच रोक्न बेला आएको यो. This is always temporary. पहिला गोकर्णको टाइम पनि
सर कहाँनिर आर्चरी खेला प्र्याक्टिस गर्छ नि आर्चरी
या यही ठाउँमा यहाँ पनि आर्चरी गर्छ
जानमा चाहिँ
सो अब आई
आर्चरी के त्यो
किनभने थाहा छैन अरू ठाउँ उता नयाँ भनेको पञ्चर डाँडा मैले थाहा पाएको पञ्चर डाँडा भने चाहिँ सिस्टो भन्दा अलिक पर छ अब 1.5 किलोमिटर होइन त्यो चाहिँ नेचुरल खालको म पछि फोटो देखाउँछु यहाँबाट चाहिँ उता लेट्स गो टु रोड साइड कमन थाहा छैन बिकज दिस कम्स फ्रम द चिली भनेको साउथ अमेरिकाबाट हो र सो यसको चाहिँ कुनै पनि शत्रु नभएको हुनाले विड इज चाहन्छु वेरेभर यु सी विड इट सोज द्याट दिस एरिया इज सिचुएटेड कुनै पनि एरियामा यो र अब अलिक पाहाडमा चाहिँ बनमारा भन्ने पाउँछ होइन यो दुइटै विड छ अनि भन्छ टाटै छ अनि चाहिँ चितवनमा अर्कै माइकेले भने अर्को एउटा छ होइन सो लन्टन कमर है कस्तो ब्युटिफुल छ है एक्चुअली इट इज ब्रट बाई रानर्स फर गार्डनमा ब्युटिफुल पार्नलाई ब्युटी अझै पनि छ तर शत्रु नभएर टाटै छ लन्टन कमरा Please come forward. What you can see the bulldozer in action. Okay. Now this is stop number 5, I think, right? Stop number 5, Black Bridge or Hakuta. Okay, it's got Black Bridge right there, and now you are seeing this sewage treatment in action. Okay, what they are trying to do is they are trying to use some soil to cover layers of landfill site area, right? And this has been done all throughout. Okay, there's one layer of solid waste, and top of it they put soil that way, right? And here they are diverting the water this way. Okay, now you see that water is very, very black. Okay, as I said, when I was working, I used to walk all along this river, all along this way, and I used to go up to the Chobar Gorge area. Okay, and that it took me about 2 to 3 hours every day, and I used to say, and each day on an average 50 species, right? But for entire year 250 species I identified, right? Now what I'm going to take you is that I'm going to cross over this bridge, and you can see the blue building there, right? From blue building on, you can see that open air sort of sewage treatment site a little bit, and again we'll come back and we'll go through this Chobar area, and we'll see from the other side. Now in front of you, you will see the small Chobar hill, and what trees do you see there? Pine. Good pine. Roxburgh, very cool, Kavita. Nepal ke bhancha? Salla bhanne ubat ho ke? Rani Salla. This is called no, not Salla, Poti Salla. Rani Salla bhaneko अलि माथिल्लो हाइटमा पर्छ हैन, त्यसको ब्लू पाइन हुन्छ इंग्लिशमा हैन, अनि हल्का ब्लूस पनि हुन्छ, यो चाहिँ हल्का येलोस हुन्छ हैन. And this pine is found mostly in this subtropical area around 4,000 feet भन्दा मुनि 5,000 feet भन्दा मुनि around 3,000 भरि मुनि subtropical area हैन. And this pine हैन त्यो बेला चाहिँ चोबार हिल चाहिँ completely सुन्नुस् है, are you listening to me? यो चोबार हिल चाहिँ complete पहिला naked थियो के. So in 1960 1970 तिर there was a lot of attention about denudation र hills, हाम्रो चाहिँ हिमालयन डिग्रेडेसन थ्योरी के भनेको हुनाले ल पाइन रोपमा जहाँ पनि नाङ्गो छ यो नाङ्गोलाई चाहिँ अलिकति छोपो भनेको थियो हैन. एट अ टाइम आवर स्कुल है, म 5 क्लासको चाहिँ विद्यार्थी हैन, 5 क्लासमा सेन्ट जेम्स स्कुल हुँदाखेरि हरेक आइतबार चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ वाकिङ लाने भने ठाउँ वाकिङ लान्थ्यो कि. अनि चाहिँ मेरो एउटा त्यहाँ फादर थियो, उसको नाम फादर च्याम्बर्स हो, हामीलाई मन नपर्यो भने उसले के गरेर के तिम्रो त्यो फादर च्याम्बर लाल भन्थ्यो कि, मलाई असर मन नपर्ने. तर उसले यहाँसम्म ल्याएर उसले के छ भने पानी खान पाएन, त्यो के अरे फोर्सहरू चाहिँ पानी हुन्छ नि. अनि बहिष्कार भनेर पानी खानु सट्टा ढुङ्गा छ नि, यहाँ रिभरको ढुङ्गा चपाएर के बहिष्कार रिभर ढुङ्गा यहाँसम्म ल्याउनु. अनि यहाँ ल्याउँदाखेरि यस्तो भिड थियो भने अनि त्यहाँ यो रुख भर्खर रोपेको यति थियो कि भर्खर. सो this tree is about 40 years old के हैन, 40 years old. अनि त्यो रुख छ नि, अनि त्यहाँ तलबाट माथि सुर दौड्दै मलाई यति भेरेर चिलो पनि छ, घाँस पनि छ, फुर दौड्दै जानु उस्तो रन अप द हिल गएको. अनि त्यहाँ हिल पुगेपछि त्यहाँ माथिल्लो जुन एउटा सिङ्गो रुख छ नि, त्यो सेप दौडेको थियो. त्यो हिलको पछाडि तपस what am I saying? And on top of the hill
there's a tree.
Okay, there's a tree, and under the tree there's a rock. Under the rock, if you dig 3 feet, there is a small time capsule. In the time capsule, we have the names of all our students, and we say, okay, we were here to start time with some coins here, right? And I'm the table echo. That was my first experience of Ramada. Echo, okay, that echo there, okay? That is Echo Mountain. Now, right in front of you, you see 2 mountains in the background, okay? Those mountains are called, what are those mountains called? What are those mountains called? Those mountains are called Chandragiri. On top of those Chandragiri mountains, in the old days, okay, that was the way through which people came to Kathmandu from India, okay. So one of the first sort of hiking
Sir,
Everyone. सरलाई आफै शुद्ध so यति वरिपरि पानीबाट ल्याउँछ त्यहाँ त्यो पानी is good for drinking. Material यतिकै छ तर अति पानीले dilute गर्दा so one of the things I want to notice is you see these walls on the side, okay? There are a lot of rock walls, and these rock walls are enclosed in wire, okay? This wire, okay? And this wire has special property, okay? In one of the advertisements, we heard about two guys saying that, okay, have you found a seal for us? Ductility, okay? Ductility means the ability to extract, okay? In some cases, especially when you are building a reinforced, you need iron or steel that can stretch so that you can bear stress, right? In this case, it's just the opposite ductility. These wires do not stretch. They are like a bicycle tire. In a bicycle tire, you can say, if you look at a bicycle tire's wire, you can easily crumple it, okay? They can be crumpled, but they cannot be stretched. So these rocks, even if they push out, it cannot be stretched. So this is a cheap way of putting the rocks together without the use of cement, okay? Because cement is very, very costly, right? So all you need is human labor and this gabion dam, okay? And this is called a gabion dam. And this wire technology was developed in a particular city in the United States called Worcester. And Worcester is a place where I studied, Clark University of time, right? जहाँ चाहिँ डेभलप गरेँ त्यो क्लार्क युनिभर्सिटी डेभलप अमेरिकाको एउटा सिटीमा दुईटा कुरालाई फेमस छ के एउटा यो ग्याबिन ड्याम अरू उसले के छ फर्टिलिटी ड्रप आइमाले खाने पिल छ नि त्यहाँ डेभलप गरेँ हा ल जाउँ glory, okay?
Yes,
Morning
sir.
of the glory, right? You're violet morning at Saturday, together. There for you. Morning's glory. It's coming from outside the country, okay? Lantana came from Chile. This silver oak color, they came from Australia, right? However, this tree is found very widely in Kathmandu Valley area, right? This tree, does anybody know Nepal name for this tree? Oh, Mr.
Bakaino, sir, Bakaino.
Bakaino. Bakaino English name ke, and Latin name Millia Asdarac. Okay, very good tree.
प्लान्टेसन गर्न भनेर लिएर आएको कि
उनीहरुले चाहिँ गाडीमा राख्न राणाहरु ल्याएको बेला यो कुरा पछि राणालाई ब्युटिफिकेसन लागि ल्याएको दे गट वाइल्ड ओके जन्स ओके थ्यांक यू नाउ दिस
म माथि चढ्छु नि
म पनि माथि चढ्छु ओके द्याट्स फर इट
Azam.
No, first I've talked about it. Puyo.
सबै टिप्न पाइदैन
What is the name of this tree?
काउलीफुल
Vala. Oh, Kaulifula. Kaulifula, okay. Now, this story, this leaf also, you know, लामो कहानी छ के कहानी व्यवस्था सन्छु नभए को छ भने यो सब बाटोमा ढुङ्गाले के कहानी बोल्छ फुलले के कहानी भन्छ यो कहानीको धेरै मर्मस्पर्शी कहानी छ यो मर्मस्पर्शी मेरो कहानी अर्को कहानी त्यो पनि लभ स्टोरी के हो के यो this flower name is called Edelweiss spelling EDELWEISS Edelweiss हैन and there is a song called Edelweiss and Dr. Mal थाहा छ है and that song is the national song of Austria Austria. You consider Austria, and this song became popular. Why? There are one in the US or Bollywood. Two movies are supposed the greatest movies ever made in terms of popularity, in terms of box office. One of them is called Gone with the Wind, American movie, this is American South Indian. And other one is called Sound of Music. Have you heard of Sound of Music?
Sound of Music.
The Sound of Music is and the Sound of Music is one of those few Bollywood movies where the entire movie is full of songs. I mean, Hindi movies are songs. Most American or Western or Bollywood movies, they don't have any song and dances. This one is all song. It's actually a musical movie, okay?
Yeah.
But this movie was actually based on a real life story, a little bit fictionalized, in which the story takes place in Second World War, okay? In Second World War, Hitler was very, very strong, right? And Germany and Austria were very similar in culture, in politics, etc. But they're two separate countries, okay? And in Germany also, there are lots of people who were sort of anti-French, anti-American, and they're also anti-Jews, okay? They didn't like Jews very much. And in Austria also, there are a lot of people who were against anti-Jews, okay? Now, Christians in general, they don't like Jews because they said Jews killed Christ. Christ was civilized. And they also say Jews are very successful people. Einstein was a Jew, everybody says, and they are very rich people also. So most people don't like Jews. Okay. So in that story, when Hitler started taking over, they sort of made propaganda to all the military officers. Okay, we have to take over and we have to be combined together. We have to beat all the English, French, etc. Right. And when they're doing so, okay, when they came into Australia, it was not so much invasion as our people invited them in. Okay, just like Sikkim invited India in. And at that time, there was one sort of officer in Australian. His name was called Colonel Von Trapp. Okay, Von Trapp. And but Von Trapp was also of a aristocratic family, really very rich family, right? And although he was from rich family and he was a colonel by birth, etc., he was against this anti-Semitism, that is against Jews, etc. He was against Hitler, okay? But everybody, all his friends were going to Hitler play, and he was against the army. And he was in the old style, right? He had a huge palatial house, and he had like 7 or 8 children, all girls, right? And his wife had died, okay? His wife had died, and in those days, like in Rana time, when a wife died, to take care of a child, they hire a governess. Those who are educated, those who take care of, so governess was going, and that time, in that movie, the governess was developed with a famous heroine called Judy Garland. Judy Garland comes as a gardener, and this guy is very, very military strict. Okay, he said no going out, no going, no. Very strict for all girls. There, girls are very, very afraid, and girls range from 20, 21 to all the 5 years old, right? And this lady comes here, and she takes over the house, and she takes everybody to music. They're all singing and dancing, okay. And in the movie, but in real life, they were singing, dancing, and later on, they all sort of run away by singing, dancing into Switzerland. Switzerland was a neutral country, and they got right. And at that time, all of those families would get together, and they would sing the national song, Edelweiss, Edelweiss, la 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 la. Oh, you can't have my when I was in college, when I BSc, and I was doing my births in Nepal, groundwater, etc. Okay, open air, open oxidation of sewage that is brought from Lalitpur area, okay, Tobi-Ghat area, okay, and there were like 2 or 3 layers. This is just one layer. You can see the upper layer there, right? 2 or 3 layers there, and it was successful for a couple of years. And later on, for whatever reason, either it became overfilled or didn't have any capacity to maintain it. It died down, okay. But this was one of the practices where the relative cost of maintenance is little because you don't need electricity to do it, so right. And it is in this area at I saw the urine thickly bulldozer. So your area from that roadside will have a better view. Okay. Now right in front of you, you see some brand new yellow buildings. What are they?
Modern Indian school.
Huh?
Modern Indian.
That's modern Indian school. That's where my 2 daughters studied. Inside it, you will never see any flowers. All the flowers are actually very microscopic flowers. Inside the berry-like stuff, inside there are like millions of small, tiny flowers. Okay, and those flowers are fertilized by small microscopic wasp. It goes from one flower or it transports pollen from flower and it gets there, right? So whenever you start having pesticides in the area, those wasps are killed pesticide and those figs start dying down. Otherwise, the figs are very, very persistent type of trees. You can see the figs. If a small fig tree will get into a wall, it starts destroying the wall. It starts destroying the wall. It's very, very strong type of wall. Okay. And this tree called ficus, it has a lot of trees. Now this particular tree is religious tree, and you can see people's advocacy. There's a lot of tika there. Okay. Now this tree is this is a very unique phenomenon, mostly in Asian countries. Maybe in Islam, maybe Hindu, maybe in but not so much in Western countries. Because in Western countries, Jesus Christ and God, they said everything should be under the dominion of human beings. Like you should put under the trap, but here we said no, nature should be worshipped. Okay, so you worship trees, we worship animals, we worship rivers also, right? You put God's name there. So this is also worship, and now by worshipping them, one of the things by worshiping is that you don't try to take as much exploitation as possible. You just do the minimum possible that is necessary, okay? And this tree is often never cut by human beings for other purposes. In Kathmandu, once in a while you see people cutting down trees, and usually that is cut only for the elephants. If there's some elephant Ganesh, you can cut a tree, but for others, it's not uncut, right? And see, every year it brings out new trees, and these new trees are light green in color, okay? And it has a very unique shape. This is the heart shape, and this is a very pointed. This is called apex, right? And when a sheep has a long apex, this type of shape is called apiculate. A-P-C-I-C-U-L. Apiculate. Okay, fine. Okay, now that's enough. Let's go. Not really one flower from a biology book. It's really lots of each of these small parts. They are all single flowers. Okay, this is a collection of flowers, inflorescence. But to us, it looks like one single flower. And when a bee is going to collect nectar, right, it is going from one little yellow part. They are transferring anther from one place to another. Okay, Suryam. Okay, so let's go around this way. Okay, now this tree here, you see the red flowers. Okay, these red flowers, they look like a brush. The brush that is used for cleaning bottles, so it is called a bottle brush tree. And this also comes from Australia. Okay, the scientific name for this is called Callistemon viminalis. Okay, so this is also brought in Nepal for ornamental purposes. Okay, lots of this bottle brush trade. So let's go a little bit that way and come back again. Okay, bottle brush. In school, college portion. So here they already have A level. Now they are also trying to open up the college level portion. Na? So detail below. So quickly. So this is silver. This is cafeteria. You the temporary. They are trying to make a big cafeteria later on. And that is that oxygen pool. Okay, which we'll see from back. Okay. So now let's go to the bus. Yeah. All of relief. We have about 60% Nepalese there, but the syllabus is totally Indian. So there's like a Nepal Indian history, and you sing Indian national songs, etc. Right? And the board is for CBSE board, Indian board, etc. Unlike Cambridge board, right? But here now in 12th class, there's both Indian board and A level board also. Okay, so let's go this way. So. Same place 3 or 4 times when you already have the opinion. And he said, the ways of science is to verify and verify and re-verify. Actually, because actually, this place also, we saw it from the bottom, we saw it from the side, we saw it from the top, we'll see it through Google Earth, we see many different places. That way we have a much more complete idea. Okay, verify, re-verify, observe, re-observe, re-observe. Okay, so here we are observing one way. Okay, now we'll go into this. This Chobar course. Okay, fine, very well. Look, if you have a camera with a yellow filter, you can see direct into the mountains. But now we cannot see the mountain here. Now once you have rainfall, you can see directly into the mountain. That's called a haze part. Okay, and you see this part. Okay, take care now. Take care. All open oxidation. Get it to sewage treatment. Yeah. त्यहाँबाट कि यहाँको हामी कुन ठाउँ पर्छ कम्ती भयो त्यो पर्यो नाइस है भेरी नाइस छ त्यो हो र यो होइन यो के हो कि मलाई थाहा छैन यो उता परको हो अब्जर्भेसन त्यहाँ के रहेछ फुल त पानीमा
Which sir?
About to go and jump in, okay? Am I there?
For whom, sir?
No, for okay, am I there? Oh, team pani यहाँ बजना.
So it's a video, so you can speak.
Can we see in the background nothing? Okay. Now this is called Chobar Gorge. This is the place in legend. Okay, so there's a parakite. Okay, that's parakite. In legend, it is said that Lord Manjusri came from Tibet or China, and he cut with a big sword, and the water drained out there, and all the water lake drained out, and it collected in a small place called Toda Lake, which we are going to visit there, right? That's a legend story. Okay, now there's actually a geological history that supports part of the story. Okay, in geology, this whole entire Kathmandu is approximately 500,000 years or 5 lakh years. And this Kathmandu Valley formed because first the big mountains formed, okay, and then around 100,000 years ago, this lower middle hills started forming, and from big mountains to smaller mountains, this valley started forming, okay. And as the Indian plate was pushing, the valley floors got slowly tilted that way, right, and finally it tilted in such a way that all the water started drained out. That is a real story from geological area. And Suna, okay. Hello. Sorry. Now, when you go to Kathmandu area, what you see is that in some places there are high places, in some places there are low places, okay? Like Baneswar is a high place, okay? There might be a very low place, okay? Balwata is a high place, or there are Tata. Now, all of those high places were also places where the old Bagmati river used to flow, okay? But as the floor valley got tilted, it went that way, this way, right? And that way the river pattern changed, okay? But all of those so-called high places have actually layers of sand and soil. So when people try to have groundwater boring, okay, it is only in the areas where there is sand that water is flowing, okay. But if you hit area where there is only clay, water will not flow. So that is the evidence that those areas with the river path areas, and in those areas you will continue to get groundwater flow. And this is the Chandragiri Mountain. Okay, now here is the bird which is coming. Say hi. That's Mr. Parakite. Okay, Parakite. Okay. Now it's a gorge. Now we are going to go behind the gorge. That way there is a small bridge like a river, and there is a Ganesh temple and behind the bridge there, right? And we'll try to go to Ganesh temple there. Okay. Bye. Okay, let's go. It's a little bit container-like structure on top of a small hill. Okay. This is the remnant of the Himal cement factory, and there what is they used to quarry. That means it's an open air mine where they take limestone from the open area, and they used to sort of roll it down. There used to be like a carriageway, and it will come down to the hill area, and that is how it was set up. That's the place where it has rolled down the mountain. Okay, so that's the industrial area. Okay, and we are going to sort of visit the Himal cement factory at the back also. Now, because when there was urbanization, there was a great need for building, and they wanted cement factory as close to the valley as possible. So, in terms of economic sense, having a place where there is raw material roads, this made sense. But later, when pollution came, a lot of air was coming inside the building, inside Kathmandu Valley, and all of pollution was coming. And because the valley is bowl shape, it stayed there. Okay, I took lots of years of protest because the government said, if you close down the factory, it's a lot of money, a lot of waste, a lot of labor, a lot of people get out of jobs. So it took a long time, but finally we were able to throw the factory out. Okay, so in Nepal also things are happening. We threw out the Bikram temple with a very black smoke. We have changed into from unleaded also. So as I said, a lot of actions are happening, but often those actions are too little, too late. Okay, but those things add up. Okay, those institutional things, they take a long time to pay. They add up, and they start becoming more and more. Okay, so we are showing that this is adding up, but not yet enough. Okay, that is the urban modern part. Now from the old part of it, this area Gorge has some religious and cultural domain also. There is actually a small temple inside a cave there, okay, where Lord Ganesh there, and because it's a limestone place. Limestone mountains means that whenever water is falling from bottom, the limestone starts melting. Just like in Pokhara area, the limestone starts dissolving, and that way you have cave-like structure. So let us see the cave-like structure. Let's go over the bridge, okay? Okay. Okay. So we are in the 110 years history, okay? 110 years history. Okay. Environmental management, where you say, see, nothing is happening. Nothing happening is also managed. Why? Because it took a lot of effort, political or other effort, to close this factory. This was a cement factory, right? And just recently, this factory was in the news. Why? Because the people who were removed from Bagmati slum area, government was trying to give them land in this area. This belonged to government area, but the local people sort of objected to it. Again, it was sort of cancer, okay? But this was a cement factory area. Lots of people got employment, and this produced a lot of cement for Kathmandu Valley, but also a lot of pollution, okay? So this has since been closed, and here's an example of where, because of people's action, people's objection, and it takes long time. It's not the 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, okay? A lot of studies were done, a lot of NGO activity, a lot of public awareness, etc. After a long time, so finally closed. Okay, so here's an example of successful example. Again, so what are some of the examples? You have rehabilitation, you have trees in that area, you put drainage in that area, oxidation, dumping, closing this factory. Those are all examples of environmental management. With the problems so large, often we see that the management and the adequate response is less than what is required, but then this is one less source of pollution. Now here I will show you something. Please bring with the bag where I asked you to bring I'll talk to one particular phase which will discuss again for exam purposes, okay, and also for understanding purposes. Yes, okay. Here is a graph called figure 3.32, and it is said total suspended particles in ambient air of Kathmandu. Okay, so those who have it, those who. If you want marks, yes. Look, in my science, okay, you lab okay. Look, okay. Since she can bring, I'm going to punish her, okay?
Take the video from the opposite
I'm going to punish her.
No, I can see the graph.
stand over there.
I can see the graph.
She was absent.
Oh, very clear, very clear.
She was absent.
Okay, now in this chart, okay, what is the y-axis? Okay, tell me what is y-axis?
No, I think I'll go over there.
What is the y-axis? What no? Oh, what does TSP stand for?
TSP triple super.
Okay, and what is the unit? Grams per meter cube, meter volume. Okay, and what is the Shiva? What is the y-axis?
Year.
Huh? Year, huh? Month. Time, and it's year. Okay, and what is the length of the y-axis? How much time is there?
0 to 4.
No. How many months are there?
1994 to 1997.
Months, 12 months.
12 months. Okay, 12 months now. Okay, Miss Binda. Now, behind, lower than the month, there are three sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 legions. Okay, what are those legions stand for? Figure 3.32. Okay, while Binta, you are in a track. Come here. So tell us what these things are meaning. Okay, so she will tell us.
It's just a legend that in 1994 around the whole
No,
year.
first tell us all of these legend, 4 legend. You couldn't be one number, no suneru na pad na
This legend stands for 1994. In graph, this legend stands for.
This legend because ule captain le hasan कस्तो
Round.
यसलाई rhomboid हो न rhomboid ल यस्तो shape ला rhomboid shape rhomboid black circle
Black circle, black
triangle asterisk okay so the asterisk कुन year हो asterisk 97 हो न अनि which year is the oldest year कुन चाहिँ
1994.
Prajapati 94 so we have the time data from which year to which year
1997.
okay 994 okay now Mr. Deepak, right now, I'm very glad you did all the arrangement, but you also need some academic exercise, okay? Now look at your start and tell us, describe to us the pollution in 1994.
So in 1994 March.
Only 1994 pollution.
Rhomboid. This starts from here. It goes
Don't say
over.
here, give us some numbers.
So it starts in 240.
240, where? What time?
January.
No, I'm asking Deepak only. Deepak will say that.
January and February. In the middle of
Okay, in the middle of January, February, it starts 240. In where? 1994, right?
And then it reaches to near about 320 in the month of March and April.
In the month of March and April.
Yeah.
It's rhomboid.
Wait, is that true? What okay right now? So the maximum is when? Maximum for 1994 when?
That is only March and April.
March and April. How much is
Middle
that?
of March and middle of April.
It is 320.
Stop right. Okay, now he is saying the maximum for 1994 pollution was in March, April 320. Do you all agree?
Agree, sir.
Yeah. Wait.
It's 320. Around 320. 320 to 350.
Oh, see, now she disagrees. Okay, now convince her, Deepak. Convince her.
1994 ko
Convince her. This is where I want you to talk.
Okay.
Any amount cheating you can do now, but not an exam.
So give example.
No.
Make sure
Actually,
she
Lisa
understands.
is talking about 1995. I'm talking about 1994. She is confused on that sign, I think.
You come there and teach her. Good idea. Anyway else in confusion? Okay, this is what I want because in exam you will confuse. Okay, now when is the minimum?
Sir,
This is the minimum.
So minimum.
July and August.
1996, sir.
No, 1994.
That year,
July and August.
Sir, minimum is July.
July and August.
I already asked you, your turn is finished. Okay, now I'm going to ask, I'm going to stand. Okay, so what is the minimum for 1994?
1994.
This one.
July, August.
Huh? Well, but this one is triangle. We're talking 1994 is a triangle.
Rhomboid.
Okay, this one. So how much is it? Number? Tell me number.
100.
So Changlin says that the 1994 minimum is what month?
July and August.
And what is the number?
100.
Do you agree first?
Agree, sir.
Oh,
Agree. 100 was the lowest.
Why?
We all agree with you.
Good. Why 100? Do you understand?
Yes, sir, here.
Which one? Show exactly. Show me the finger. Which
And
one?
this one.
No, not
We
this
agree
one.
with you.
This one. This triangle, this one, not the bottom. This one. Not this one. Yeah, show me for 994. Okay, make it very clear, okay? Because there are so many things together. You should only look at a rhomboidal cell. Rhomboidal means this type, okay? Not triangle, not square, but this type, okay? So only 1994 is, now if you look, तपाईले चाहिँ यो वालाको छ नि यो वाला लाइनमा हेरेको हो भने यो rhomboid भयो यो triangle छ हैन
Most of the month is
rhomboid छ
highest amount is around
rhomboid छ यो सबै तल rhomboid भएको यो चाहिँ छ हैन
Circle.
यो मार्केट छ
1995.
लाइनमा मार्केट हैन
1995.
crosses all the limit during May and June. The middle of May around 1995.
बुझ्यो हैन
Yes, sir.
भयो भयो
1995.
Oh, Mustafa. Okay. Okay.
The latest
Now,
study you have seen in the seminar.
Six
Presented on
Okay. Now we know about the maximum. We know about the minimum. Okay. Need to you tell me why is the maximum in January, February, March or March, April?
March.
So we saw that in 1994 the maximum was in March, April. Why? Right. So it has become dry for a long time. So after October, it becomes dry and college for long time. And not only the pollution from
In July, it used to be decreased.
for a long time. Okay, and we haven't had any rain to make it fall down. Okay, so she said correctly, the pollution is highest in January, in April, May, because this is pre-monsoon time. Okay, just before monsoon time. So we have not only 1-2 months, but we have all the pollution after monsoon, which is in September, October, right? 6 months of pollution is the maximum in Nepal or Kathmandu Valley. Okay, that's the reason why. Now, why is it the minimum in Kadi? How much was it? July, August?
July, August.
So, I'll ask you, why is it minimum in July, August?
Maybe because of the monsoon.
Why? What happens during the monsoon?
During monsoon, the rain falls and all the dust particles settle on.
Good. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, that is correct. Now we are going to come to, now we did for 1994. Now let us go to 1997, okay? So what difference between 1994 and 1997 is that 1994 is the oldest data, 97 is the latest data, okay? Now for 1997, let's say, who have I not asked? Well, I'll ask you. Sakya, just follow the 1997 curve. How do you recognize 97 curve? Asterisk, okay. So tell me the highest in 1997 curve.
December.
Highest?
Yeah, this is the highest December. After December.
December. So how much is the approximately? Abba. Or
You have already
I'll ask you, okay. Now you tell me, not looking at any particular year, just look at data, not the year, but just tell me the highest amount of pollution. Which year?
1995.
And tell us the number. Write in the year. Highest pollution, year and number. Tell us. Write it down.
380.
Tell me the year and the number. Highest pollution.
1995.
1995, 370.
Huh?
Around 370 during of the middle of May and June.
So how much is it? 370. 370 in.
May in 1995.
So right in May 1995, highest was 370, right?
Yeah.
And what was the lowest for May? Or also what is the lowest number in the entire stuff?
In entire data, it is
In
around
data.
80.
1996.
Okay. Why did you tell us the lowest for pre-monsoon? Tell me the more.
1996
Lowest number for pre-monsoon.
monsoon को माने के होइन
Before monsoon, lowest.
1997. It's around here.
How much was it?
It was around 160, 65 around.
So the highest was how much? Lowest was how much pre-monsoon?
Highest is 320.
Bill explain us. Pre-monsoon, I'm going to ask everybody speak quiet. In pre-monsoon, what was the highest recorded number?
370.
370, which year? Which year?
1995.
So, what was the lowest for pre-monsoon?
170.
What was the year?
1997.
997? Okay, 97, I did it. Why not?
Same in the same place.
Highest one 97, lowest one 97.
Highest 95. Lowest 95.
highest 95.
Or you will say, you will say 95. So one more time, quiet, okay? Let only one person talk, okay? One more time, okay? Quiet. What was the highest number pre-monsoon Number.
Number 370 Ramkara.
Year.
Year 1995.
1995. Lowest pre-monsoon.
Pre-monsoon 1997 year. The value is 170.
So what was the difference between 1997 and 1995? You know?
200.
Huh?
200.
200 between 1995 to 1997.
Year
I'm going to
2.
ask you. Me too. So according to what she says, in pre-monsoon, did monsoon increase or decrease? Huh? Oh, is that right? Is that right? No, is that right? Is that what data saying? So in SLC, there is theorem passed down QED.
Question to be proved.
Why not? Code et demonstratum. Yes, proof and proven. Code code et demonstratum. Q thesis theorem. When you say this proves, this is data showing that pollution in Kathmandu has actually decreased when we are dealing with the years 1994 to 97. Now we don't have that data. Now according from our personal experience, we see pollution increase all the time, but the data is showing that pollution has actually decreased. Now let us for one moment say that suppose this data is accurate. Now you can say this data is inaccurate or biased, we can say, but if we agree that this data is accurate, किन होला त्यो त्यसमा किन होला
यस्तै हिमालका सिमेन्ट कारखाना जस्तो बन्द भएको भएर
one cement factory down दोस्रो के
पुरानो भेहिकल्सहरु सबै रिमुभ पनि भयो महेन्द्र त्यो टाटा मोबाइल सबै भयो
those things you cannot look at I say we cannot measure but by data you can measure so those are the ancillary evidence which may say that maybe this data is right. But now you can also say that, hey, this data may be wrong. So wrong, के कारण हुन सक्छ त्यसले? Suppose this data is wrong or inaccurate, के कारण छ? तपाईं environmental data लिएछ? के कहाँ what are the sources of error?
Number of vehicles is increasing day by day.
त्यो certain times सम्म मात्र लेको हुन सक्छ नि
Okay. Now this is often we say that whenever any scientific authority like office or instrument or this or that, we think the data is always correct. But in Nepal's case, in Bangladesh's case, in third world countries, often there is a lot of room for error. Okay, the instrument may be wrong. The people who are doing the experiment may be wrong. He's supposed to make he might be sleeping like our friend was he was sleeping in the football match. He may be sleeping wrong. Sometimes you need to put extra water, extra dust you have to do wrong in our computer also, right? So there are lots of instrumental error, human error, and the location of data. Sample error may be wrong. So there are so many places those things can wrong. And the thing I'm telling you this is that suppose we have climate change. Oh, we have 6 degrees increase of 6 degrees. And this, don't believe just because of big officer, okay? In that big office also, we haven't got the data. The data collection may be wrong, the accuracy may be wrong, the interpretation may be wrong, okay? But suppose if it is correct, they say, are there other reasons maybe supporting that it may be correct? And you said, some of the reasons that could be supporting that, yes, cement factory was removed, big buses were removed, big two-liter factory were removed. So those also it may be possible. Not only that, if you look at theory, we see a lot of brick factories in right? But in the brick factory also, they have changed from low quality coal to a little bit higher quality coal. They have changed from the chimney length from a low to a high level. So all of those areas, I'm brake tax brake stop slow you need instruments to measure, okay? So those things are actually getting slow and slow, which we don't know, okay? So whenever you feel bad, things are really happening and it takes some time to find out, okay? And you chance by hours, you will get full marks? Yeah.
Yes.
Chance by hours. Very small lake, okay? But the Kathmandu people, whenever they see a lake or water body, they think the body has big depth, huge amount of depth. Like for instance, our main pond in Kathmandu called Rani Pokhri, okay? We used to believe that when I was small, we used to, this is so deep that 10 elephants should go down there, okay? But actually, once upon it almost dried up. It's hardly less than 8 or 9 feet deep, okay? Because it is actually a pond excavated by Pratap Malla, and he brought all the waters from the pilgrimage and put it there. Okay? So it's not very deep. This is also not very deep area, okay? But when I was a child, I thought it is so deep, because the story behind that is that when Manjusri, okay, when he caught that stuff, Tibetans have a bad habit of Tibetans and Rautis, okay, because there is such cold area, they never take bath, okay. They never take bath, and they have their long hairs, etc. Right? So when he saw this nice pool of water, he said, "Wow, what a wonderful place to take bath, etc." Right? And he caught that stuff, right? He said, once he caught us, I'm going to take a bath, right? And he dived, he dived into water, and when he dived all in his hair, right? His hair wall of Jata, all kinds of wildlife right there. Okay? I said, "Oh, it's so cold, let us out," right? And he said, "Okay, what are all wildlife?" Sub Zumra, lice, eh? And he said, "Okay, I'm going to cut all this hair." He cut all this hair, and he threw the hair out. And what happened to the hair? All the hair became trees of Swayambhu, and all the inside became monkeys. That is why those monkeys are very holy, because they are the Zumras from Lord Manjusri. Okay? Now, at the time, they said, and at the time when the water came out, right, the water had a lot of those very mythological animals. One of the mythological animals was a snake, the goddess snake, Karkotak Naraz. Karkotak Naraz means that snake king, which is so dirty, it's full of sore, which is full of sores, right? It's full of very ugly, okay? But it's very rich and it's very powerful, okay? And he had a very beautiful Nagaraj wife, right? But unfortunately, that Nagaraj wife had a little eye problem, and they could not cure the eye problem, right? So one day this Nagaraj, he turned himself into a man. He came looking around for medicine, and he went into one of the tantric doctors of the Patna area, and he got a medicine. Right? He got a medicine, and he said, "Okay." And he said, he brought the doctor. He said, "Come to my place. My wife is sick." Right? So he took him to the river, and they jumped into the river. He went there, and there was a big palace inside this tower, right? And he cured the river. He said, "Okay, you did very well. Now I'm going to give a prize. What? A ganji with a lot of diamonds. Okay, a lot of diamonds." And it is same ganji in about 1 month time, when this big temple, okay, that ganji is sold to everybody. Why? And he was given that ganji with a lot of diamonds there, right? And that diamond was given to Jaipur. But Jaipur, he didn't know the value of diamonds. He threw diamond along, and one day he felt like shitting, right? So he went there, he started shitting, and the diamond, that string was stolen, okay? It was stolen, and it was given to the king, and the king he said, "That diamond is mine," right? And the Jaipur said, "That is mine," right? And there was a lot of this war among them, and he said, "Okay, once in a while I'm going to see who the real owner is," right? And they could never find the real owner. So that was the story. Now, I grew up hearing that story. I thought, this must be so deep. There's Nagaraja, there's palace inside there, huge place, right? And that was the cultural point of view. When I went to Sanjay, was in grade 9, okay? In grade 9, up to grade 9, we had science. In grade 9, we had a practice for Cambridge, so we had to physics, chemistry, biology together. So we had a foreign teacher at the time, okay? His name was Brian. Religious location. Why and how is this related to our course? This is related to our course because we are dealing with environmental management, and under environmental management we dealt with one sector of the environment called forestry, right? Now when you talk about forest management, you should not remember, or you should not think that management is restricted only to economic management or even scientific and ecological management, but cultural management is a very important and very powerful and very effective form of management, okay? So here is one case where this is a very holy temple called Vajra Yogini, right? And all the trees outside there are sort of located or dedicated to this tree here, so that most people in this area believe that these forests are sort of the forest that belongs to this deity called Vajra Yogini, right? And because this deity is really a pre-Hindu religion, that means this deity is what we call animist type of god. That means when people of Nepal, before they had Hindu religion or Buddhist religion or even Islamic religion come into the country, they were very much in contact with nature. So all the nature-oriented stuff, all powerful-oriented stuff, right? They worship in forms of nature gods. And one of the forms of nature god was god, which were goddesses, okay? Because goddesses were symbols of fertility. They gave birth, right? They gave animal, right? So in Nepal, those gods were turned from Hindu religion. They were called Shaktipit. So gods like Dachin Kali, they really do not exist in Hindu pantheon deities. So in the religion, they don't really exist. Okay, this Vajrayogin also, people say they are Buddhist god, but they actually did before Buddhist religion. They are a god of power. Okay, so Buddhist religion says no violence, nothing, but not this god. This god, if you need power, you need help. Right? Like Dachin Kali, if you need help, if you don't like your enemy, you say, please God help me, I'll give you prayer. If he or she is happy, you'll get it. That is what people believe, right? So they are very, very powerful God because power is all of them. If you keep them happy, you make them happy. So both in the case of Dakshit Kali, which is also a lady god, this is a Vajra, also a lady god. Okay, there's if you look at them, there one leg is at the bottom, which is the hell, and one leg is at the heaven, right? They are supposed to go expand the entire universe. Okay, so that is the power there, and there's a lot of tantric rites. Okay, there are people who come here, certain groups in Kathmandu, and they go through very religious and very secret rites to propitiate or to keep this God is happy. Okay, so the key here is that this is an example of cultural management. There's one other place in Kathmandu called Bajrabari. In Bajrabari also, there is a case where all around you see agricultural land. So because of population increase, people need agricultural land. So lots of trees were cut for agriculture purpose. But not a single leaf was taken from the forest and brought out, because people believe, rightly or wrongly, that if you take a leaf out of that, you will die by vomiting blood, right? Even if that was not tested, people believe it so much that they dare not take the leaf, take it out. And it also said, not proven, but it said that if there is any windstorm also, wind is always in the circular form, so all the leaves that go are brought inside. And those are all like a story which may not have scientific truth, but people believe in it. Okay, people believe it, and they are saying nowadays only some few trees here and there in Bajrabari caught, and that also is for religious purpose. They caught because they have to make some pujas, and for puja you need some alcohol, right? So they made it for alcohol purpose, not for other purpose, right? And in Bajrabari you will also see some examples of what is called anti-forest management from a scientific point of view. Whenever you go to a forest, the first trees you cut down are dead, dying, or diseased trees. I saw some trees, lots of disease, right? Because those trees, fungi can infect other trees. You want to have good quality, you cut it down. But there, you do not cut it down. Why? Because each tree is blessed by the God, and not only that, from a ethical point of view, you are respecting every life. That means even the fungi, even the insect, even the birds, we can find that they have a right to live. So it is not only the right of human beings to have the maximum possible value, but right of every human being. So this attitude of Eastern religion mostly to have let everybody live, animal, plant, insect. Okay, not that only human beings are at the top of the game. Right? In Western religion, we are on the top of the game. We can destroy it. That is not there. So this religion, once it is destroyed, you only think, okay, we only need profit. That's all that is necessary. Okay, so this is why I brought here. So there are several such examples. In Dachin Kali, I wanted to show you the same thing, but it's a little bit crowded. But same example. Only they all belong to say a type of lady. Okay, a mother nature god. Okay, but different types. That is a little bit. It has been co-opted by Hinduism, but actually this predates Hindu. This has been co-opted by Buddhist religion, but this also predates Buddha. Now, any of you who are interested, willing, or don't have any problems to visit, you may go and visit her. If you don't want to visit, you can sit there for a few minutes, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. Point of view, okay? If you are seeing fishes in the water, you do not have to understand POD, COD, POD, DOD, any of those things. What this is saying is that this water is healthy because it is supporting fish life, okay? And it has been going for a long time, and this soil is a very good drinkable quality water, which is come directly from the mountains there, right? The water goes into the hills and goes through the soil and up from the mountains, so very, very clean water. And here's another temple right on the hillside there. We'll visit the temple and we'll come right down. Okay, so these are this is one of the beautiful and very good healthy quality, whereas in Sundari Ghat, we saw terrible quality. Okay, we saw one extreme terrible quality, one extreme, this is called pristine. Pristine means coming from the, from nature, right from the bosoms of the mountains, bosoms of the trees, from the roadside, as clean as you can be. Okay, and you can drink, you can swim, you can have this very nice, clean blue water there. Okay, so pristine. Yes. Okay, very good. This place is called Chalakhel Nursery, okay? This nursery is the only nursery located in Kathmandu Valley currently, okay? This nursery belongs to Forest Ministry, right? And currently, it is this nursery which supplies all the tree plantlings which are used for all sort of tree afforestation program inside Kathmandu Valley, okay? Now, this is a big nursery. Mostly their trees are used for plantation purposes, but before they used to use for afforestation purposes, okay? Now, this I brought you here because this is part of forest management. In forest management, you can do it several ways to forest management, okay? In the early stages, when we saw trees were being denuded, okay, one of our first purposes was to go and plant trees, okay, because that seemed like, okay, forest is naked, the hill is naked, let's plant more trees. And because the soil was so dry, and because there were no other trees or organic material, they say, let's plant trees which can survive in a harsh type of situation. And in that harsh type of situation, we went for Kutusola or Pinus roxburghi, because Pinus roxburghi also can survive in very acidic soils which have very little nutrient in it, and because it is pine, it also has a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic means togetherness, okay? It has a symbiotic relationship with another type of fungi called mycorrhiza. So instead of root, when you look at root, there's a big root and there's a side root. Big root is called taproot, the side root is called branch root, and under each root there are small hairs, or jungas, so small. It is actually those hairs which absorb moisture, nutrients, etc., right? Now in the case of pines, where there is a lot of acidic soils, those roots cannot absorb good quality nutrients. But because it is fungi, those fungi have a hard cell layer and it can survive acidic condition, and it can absorb phosphorus and other type of nutrients. That way it can survive in very bad situation, okay? So the idea was to plant a lot of trees which can survive those areas, and many places where we went there, okay? In Chobar area, we saw a lot of trees which were pines. And most of the trees, I said, well, how many years old? How many years old? Ramayana Padas Ramsena, 40 years old. Okay, now let's see. In our tree plantation history, okay, our modernizing forestry started in 1950s, 1960s, okay. As soon as we did modernize, we began to notice there was a lot of deforestation going on in land degradation. So first response was to plant trees, and most of the trees are being 50 to 30 years old, okay. But after 10 or 20 years of plantation, our government or many people began to say that this is not really a cost-effective way. Why? Because to plant each single tree, see, each single seedling has to be produced here. You have to pay for the nursery, you have to pay for the building, you have to pay for the water, and you know, each seedling used to cost between 1 to 2 rupees. But if you have like millions of hectares or thousands of hectares, that adds to lots of money, right? It is one thing to have one tree planted by a politician, one tree planted by a school children. It makes nice pictures. But if you really want to have all the hillside planted, that is too high a scale. It was not possible, very costly. That's number one. Number two, as you planted more and more trees, as the trees started coming up, it looked very nice, and people came and take pictures. Wow, Nepal is doing a good job in planting tree planting, right? But most of the people, all the people who were planting trees were foreigners and government officers and city people. But the local people, they hated those trees. Why? Why did people hate pine trees? Good. Those trees are no good for farmers because they can survive in acidic areas. They also make the soil more acidic, and animals don't like to eat them, and they cannot be used for bearing material, etc. So most farmers prefer broadleaf type of trees. And one of the broadleaf type of trees are Bakaina, we saw one of them, which is a common plant. Another is a relative of the people tree called Pakhurip, and that's good for forestry. Some of the trees which you saw alongside, most of the trees you see nice global shape, but if you go more and more to the farmland, you see sort of cylindrical tree. When you say cylindrical tree, means people have cut the branches out for feeding animals, okay? Now, since the trees in the forest were limited because people were disallowed to go into the forest, and when they went, they used to kill, capture them, they used to harass them, etc. Fewer and fewer people went to the common forest, so they had to plant trees on their land, and only those people who own land could plant it. But there are lots of people in Nepal who do not own land, okay? Very poor people who do not own land. So lots of people's needs were not being addressed. So Birindi came up one day and said, let's have basic needs, Vikas ko mool phutauna, etc., right? And that happened in 1970s, 1980s, right? So the idea was that planting trees, it looks nice, but it is very costly, and it does not really increase the livelihood system of the local people. So the idea was, let us try to say, in the beginning they said, okay, since it's very costly, to reduce cost, let's tell the people to look after trees, plant their own trees instead of foresters doing so, okay? And to do so, they say, you guys plant trees. I say, why should we plant trees? What benefit are you going to get? And you all come back. They say, no, we'll give us a little bit of benefit. Well, I don't believe. Today you say you'll give unit, tomorrow you'll be posted some other place. How do I believe? We'll make some changes in the law. So that was the beginning of community forest. But before community forest started, in the existing law, it was called Forest Protection Act. In the existing law, they made a small amendment called Panchayat Forest and Panchayat Protected Forest. That way they tried to say in the law, some of the benefits of that plantation will be given to local people. So in those times, there were two types of forest, okay? One was a degraded forest, and there were some trees there, and all people had to do was they had to look after trees. So before government had to put fences, and fences cost a lot of money, and even when there are fences, if you don't have a watchman there, animals will be sent, they will break the fences, right? So instead of doing that, they said, okay, let's have brush fences, bush fences, and let's convince the people not to take the animals, and so if they get some benefit, we'll die. So those were called Panchayat Protected Forest. Now some areas were so bad, there was naked, no trees, okay? And there you have to actually go and plant trees. And to plant trees, they said, if you ask us to plant trees, we don't want any pine trees, okay? We'll only plant trees if there are some trees which will have some useful to us, okay? What trees? Any broad trees. And mostly fodder trees, fuel trees, okay? So fodder trees like pakuri, ficus species, lapsi. Now this tree here is called lapsi. This tree is found only in Nepal. It's one of the endemic species. We call it lapsi, or scientific name for this is Correspondus axillaris. Multiple Correspondus axillaris, lapsis, okay? Something right? Correspondus axillaris, okay? And you have to round the spelling. Much didn't so enough. And 5 spelling, and Kunja right side spelling.
इन्भाइरोमेन्ट साइन्स पढे मान्छेले बायोलोजी पढ्छ
होइन तर चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ 5000 रुपियाँ खर्च यहाँ टुरमा आएको यहाँ मैले भनेको छु त्यसरी मैले सोध्न पाइन्छ
एन्सर पनि त्यहाँ
चिकन पनि धेरै खाइसकेको छु मैले लोकल हैन anyway so this is okay so they say they want trees which they are familiar with, which the animals with, which they can eat, which they can burn, okay, those trees, okay, and they say okay, let's plant the trees, and they try to have farmer friendly type of trees planted in the local nurseries here. So here in the old history there are a lot of pine trees for private, but they also have farmer friendly type of trees, okay. Now even that tree, after 10 20 years, they said even that tree is very difficult, very expensive, because you're going to plant one tree, they might plant a few trees in their farmland, that's fine, but we have lots and lots of hillside to plant. It's very, very difficult. So around 80s and 90s, government make a change. They said now we are not going to do any afforestation, any plantation, we are not going to do anymore, okay. So only plantation we now see nowadays is purely for political purposes, purely for advertising purpose, but for the sake of forest management, we do not do any planting because it is not cost effective. Nowadays, we only try to rehabilitate degraded forests, and to do so, we only ask the local people, okay, we are going to give you certain rights to the forest, and if you cut it, after a certain number of years, you can cut the trees and sell it, and you can get certain part, 30, 40, 50%, okay? And that was made into law. So that kind of management called community forestry, and this new type of law, it started in an experimental form in 1976, and by 1993, see, it was 16 years time, they had a new Forest Act. Before it was all operating in the old Forest Act, they had a new Forest Act called Forest Act 1993, and under this type, community forestry was really popular. Nowadays, we say we have around 18,000 community forest user group, around 1.7 million hectares, more than 30% of all forests in Nepal are managed under community forestry. And when you say managed, all they have to do is they convince local people for some benefit, and they prevent the local people from going into the, and forests are coming on their own. So the real people, real forces bringing the forests up is the tropical climate, subtropical climate, the soil, and very little the human people by just staying outside, okay. But instead of doing active management, now here is a case where is all examples. We are seeing active forest management by trying to have new seedlings. We are also seeing the old natural forest by there, okay, this is natural forest there, and in natural forest, in the lower areas, when you start disturbance, अब तपाईले चाहिँ अब कोही मान्छे तिमीलाई लभ गरेको हुन्छ डनिफो देख्छ हैन when love are the so when you are sick, when you don't have immunity, you see all kinds of sores there. So in a forest also, when it is sick and you see all kinds of big boils in the trees, okay. Not only that, if the ecosystem is sick, you will see lots of lantana camera, those are all evidence of sick type of ecosystem, right? So when you have sick type of ecosystem, if you look at a school, you say, okay, these schools are lots of children there, but if you look closely, right, the people who are failures, they'll be lower grade, right? Those people who are smart, they're lower grade. Those who are smart, they'll go climbing up and up and up. So there's like gradation in school. So in a forest also, okay, whenever there is disturbance, it is one type of vegetation. So the vegetation that comes in disturbance, they are called pioneer type of vegetation, okay? And usually, Uttis, or Himalayan alness, or lantern camera, those are all pioneer. They serve in very difficult, including pinus rocks. But when you go more and more, first you go into KG class, A class, B class, 4 class, school ma chahi ramroसँग गर्यो भने at the age of 16 you will pass SLC like last time, okay? But some and if you go to college like Amrit Science College, okay, you go like 16, 17, 18, and by 18 you have finished BSc. Now about 2 weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody was playing with gunfire and they accidentally shot one of them with gunfire, right? And I was looking at the stuff and they were all same party members, they were playing with a gun. I looked at the age, the leader was 29 years old, okay? 29 years old, he's still in college doing BSc. But it is, okay? I was in ASCOL, right? By the age 16, I had passed BSc, right? By age 20, I passed Masters, I was doing good job. This guy is 29 years old, he's degraded system, okay? He wants to become leader, he's not interested study, okay? So it's just like here, if a forest is climbing in good health, okay? By a certain time, for a particular area, certain trees will survive, okay? So in school, the top level is called SLC. In college, the top level is called master's level. So similarly, in this Kathmandu area, which is in the subtropical areas, in a little bit hilly areas, the top type of vegetation here, सबभन्दा माथि सबै उच्च भएपछि के रुख पाउँछ यहाँ यो ठाउँमा होइन पाइन सुरु त्यहाँ के भन्छ नि चिलाउने र कट्टुस होइन चिलाउने इङ्ग्लिस नेम के स्किमा वालिचाई SCHMI स्किमा वालिचाई अनि चाहिँ कट्टुसको क्यास्टोनप्सिस क्यास्टोनप्सको चाहिँ मुसुरी कट्टुस ढालेको किसिमले है सो दोज टु ट्रीज विल कम टुगेदर एन्ड वन्स दोज टु ट्री कम देन यु क्यान से tree vegetation is mature, त्यसलाई चाहिँ क्लाइम्याक्स भन्छ तपाईँ एसएलसी पुग्यो है त्यसमा त्योभन्दा माथि जाँदैन अनि चाहिँ त्योभन्दा माथि चाहिँ के तपाईँ इफ गो इन हायर एल्टिट्युड यु माइट सी ओक्सहरू होइन रोडोडेन्ड्रनहरू पाउँछ ब्लू पाइन पाउँछ तर यो हाइटको लागि चाहिँ स्किमा वाल चाहिँ मात्र पाउँछ इफ यु गो टु तराई एरिया यु विल फाइन्ड साल एन्ड अस्ना ओके एन्ड इफ यु गो टु रिभर एरिया यु विल फाइन्ड खयर एन्ड सिसो ओके एन्ड इफ यु गो टु इभन हायर एरिया डल्फो सरुतिर तिमीमा चाहिँ ठिङ्ग्रे सल्लाह एभ्री पाउँछ डिफ्रेन्ट हेरेर हामी स्कुल कलेज भने चाहिँ one type of vegetation will survive. Those are called climate vegetation, right? So if you look in interior forest, you will see schema walichi and cactus. अब तपाईले सोच्नु चाहिँ अब पार्क वरिपरि चाहिँ कुन climate vegetation चाहिँ schema walichi cactus कसरी सम्झिनु हैन this country belongs to के शिवजी हो न शिव चाहिँ अच्छी भनिहाल्यो है शिवजीले चाहिँ के गरेछ भने हेर हाम्रो यहाँको विद्यार्थीले सबै थाहा पाओस् सिकोस् बुकोस् भनेर अनि चाहिँ उसलाई चाहिँ सिक्न मन सिकोस् अनि ज्ञान बुद्धि पनि अब शिव चाहिँ के छ भने सधैँ के ध्यान गर्दै गयो हिमालमा के छ भने अब सबै जिउभरि नाङ्गो छ अनि एउटा के अरे टाइगर पेट लिएर त्यहाँ बस्छ तपाईँले थाहा शिवजी कसले अन्डर लाउँछ लाउनु होइन उसले अन्डर नआएर उसले दुःख to show a different aspect of how they are trying to make nursery management, forest management friendly to the local needs. Okay? And local needs, everybody needs fuel wood and fodder for growing purposes. And one of the fastest growing trees in the world, it's not really actual tree, it's a bamboos are all actual grass type, but it's a woody type of species, right? Is bamboos, okay? Now, even among bamboos, they wanted a tree which would go faster than even the trees, even the bamboos which are found in Nepal, and which can be easily reproduced there, right? And they brought this bamboo especially from China, and one of my friends was a bamboo expert, right? And they planted here, and this can go really fast with underground tubers. And now in Nepal, there are lots of species of bamboos, bamboos, nigalo, sigalo, विभिन्न किसिमको bamboo छ है हाम्रो bamboo के छ भने those bamboos they often they sort of propagate themselves non-sexually. That means without having flowers of male and female, they use their roots and the roots are dividing and they bring columns from the outside. Now this is nice and good and fine, okay, but sometimes they try to absorb lots of moisture and nutrient of local area. So most farmers don't like to put bamboos in their farm area because they are afraid that their nutrient crop, agricultural crop will be reduced in the stuff, okay. Although they need the wood material, okay. So often they try to put this material inside on the roadside in common property land as opposed to their lands, okay. Now this is one of the trees which will have less amount of absorption of nutrients and which can be grown on its way. And at the same time, some of our bamboos, what happens is that they grow for 30, 40, 50, 70, 100 years, and all of a sudden, all the bamboos, the entire forest will bloom, okay. And it is said that when the bamboos bloom, then there will be a big famine. Why? Because once they bloom after like 100 years or 40 years, right? So much food is created in the forest that the population of mice will increase so much. They'll eat all the bamboo seeds, and after they increase the population, and after the seeds are over, what to do? Then they start going to villages. They eat all grub, and the village will have a big famine. Okay, and because of that, this happens. And the reason why this happens is that all the bamboos, when they are not sexual, all the bamboos are related. Okay, related. So they are of the same genotype. You know? So when there is this thing, if there is a small, any kind of diseases, all the bamboos can be destroyed that way. Okay, so those are some of the negative portions of the bamboos of Nepal that way. So they try to bring Chinese, which may have different genotypes that way, which can be propagated easily, which goes really fast. And I don't know the exact name, but here's one example where we try to bring science and technology to the needs of the local people, the farmers there, okay? And even that, now we are trying to abandon more and more because we are trying to say natural forest management the best. Artificial forest management in terms of nursery is very good. Now, because we are no longer interested in say, there used to be a lot of nursery within Kathmandu in villages, but now only this is the old nursery. So there is, letting some of the people survive here. So this old nursery going on its own momentum, okay? So background is we have